No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Minuk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show starts now.
Well, Ezra, when it was 4-1 in that third period, I thought, okay, I'm going to make my bat mitzvah. Ezzy's going to make get his kids to bed and not have his dad want to, kill him. Then it was 4-2. Then it was 4-3. Then it was 4-4. Then it was overtime. Then it was double overtime. So it was a little longer than we expected. As he commented, my hair's a little crazy. Sorry, folks. I'm, of course, no hats in the press box.
It's great hockey hair, Dave M. Like, I'm sure the chat will agree with me here. I know that the chat is not happy with the end result of that game, but
JB Brown says, no wonder I wear a toque.
Exactly. But hey, if you got it, you got to flaunt it, right? You just muted yourself there, Dave.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess Dave has to plug himself back in. There's a little short circuit. There we go. We got you back, Dave.
There we go. Well, this is the problem when you're moving your stuff all the time, Ezzy. It's like, I'm trying to move this and make it, transport it, give people the good background that they come to expect here on Illegal Curve. And then, I do have hair too. Well, it's true. It's a little bit insane, but yeah, it's unfortunately, you guys get to, well, sometimes you've seen it every once in a while. But the reality is, folks, heck of a game here in Winnipeg that the fans got a chance to experience. The whiteout was, off the rails. Everyone was, we were off the rails on our Saturday show, Ezzy, and I don't know what it was like on the television. I didn't get a chance.
Tell us what it was like to be in the building, Dave. I mean, I'm here in my River Heights basement. I was watching the game, as you mentioned, with my dad, aka Grandpa, and my two Rugrats. But you were there. What was it like? I mean, I can only imagine what it was like when the Jets tied it up with only a few seconds left.
Well, you know what? Even before then, go back to the beginning of the game. Sorry, folks. I know my mic wasn't working. We're having some technical difficulties. I'm frazzled. I'm trying to get everything.
You're good now.
We're trying
Crystal
to go.
Clear, Dave.
Okay, good. Well, anyways, the before we even get into the tying goal, I mean, we have to go back to the beginning of the game. I mean, the fans. I was writing this on the website. The fans were amped. The fans were ready. You got to remember, and I know you know this, Ezzy, but this is the first time a full building has been here. The White House has been back since 2019. So as a result, you could feel that energy, and it was right from the outset. It was before the game even started. The crowd was loud. I mean, that was wasn't. I don't want to say it was as loud as 2011 when they came back in that first game, that first exhibition game when it was just insane in the building.
The big buff hit on who was it? Whoever, it doesn't matter who it was. He murdered somebody on the Blue Jackets, whoever it was.
Was it Zach Bogosian's brother?
Aaron Bogosian? Well, if you
no, I don't think it was. It was against Columbus. It was a split.
Yeah, it was against Columbus, and it was an exhibition game. And you're absolutely right. I mean, I don't think you're ever going to match that because that was 15 years of angst built up, right? Or 15 years of whatever missing the NHL in our city, right? But I mean, when Adam Lowry scored, wow! I mean, that was one of the best moments in Jets 2.0 history because, as you mentioned, after Keegan Kolesar made it 4-1, I mean, you thought the game was over. You thought, it's time to pack it up and go home. So give the Jets a lot of credit considering that Josh Morrissey left the game early. I'm sure we're going to talk about that because there were a lot of tired defensemen on the Jets. And I thought you really saw that, Dave, throughout the overtime because obviously, the Golden Knights were controlling the play for much of that first overtime.
No, there's no question about it. And you've got to give guys credit. Neil Pionk, I think, played about 75 minutes in that hockey game, and he contributed a lot on the score sheet. But yeah, for sure, Ezzy, the loss of Josh Morrissey was a massive loss for this Winnipeg Jets hockey club, especially because it came, I think he played, a total of a minute 14 of that hockey game. So a real unfortunate, real tough situation for the Jets. We don't know anything other than the fact that Josh Morrissey is not returning, was not going to be returning to the game. Maybe we'll see if there's an update on from Coach Rick Bowness when he speaks to everybody else. But ultimately right now, that's a real tough situation for the Winnipeg Jets. But just getting back to the whole idea of a whiteout, and we'll get into the game in a second, and of course do our Betway game recap. But you gotta hand it to the crowd because the crowd was amped. Whether it was the ones in the building, whether it was the ones that were on Donald Street at the Whiteout Street Party, or the ones in the party in the plaza. Our photographer Colby Spence took a lot of photos. We're going to have those up on our Illegal Curve Instagram, and they're out on Twitter and stuff like that. But I'm glad to give it credit. It was a really good atmosphere. And again, like I said, The Jets might not have been ready to go because they gave up 2 goals on their first 2 shots, but the fans were, and the fans were excited, Ezzy.
Yeah, absolutely. I was sending you a DM here that I can talk about the scene downtown outside the building, because just around 1:30, as people know who were watching the Saturday morning show, I'm both daddy and mummy this weekend because Naomi's soaking it up in Arizona while Dave and I work our buns off here, bringing great content for Jets fans here. But so I thought, what the hell, we went to Mastermind, we got a car wash, and I thought, let's take the kids downtown so that they can experience, all the Jets fans and, the whiteout. So we drove by True North Plaza, we drove by the arena, did a couple circles. We were honking at a few Jets fans, and my daughter Ariella said, "Why are you honking at these people?" Because I said, that's what you do when you see a bunch of Jets fans or, sports fans in general, and, people will cheer back at you. So I can't speak to the inside of the building, obviously, Dave, but the atmosphere around the arena an hour and a half before the game was unbelievable. Like 5 or 6 blocks away from the arena, there's Jets fans wearing their white jerseys or their white hoodies or white t-shirts. People are dressed up. I saw a guy dressed up as Captain Jack Sparrow, which I thought was pretty funny. And I'm sure you saw a lot more characters inside Canada Life, right? But you're absolutely right, considering that there hasn't been a whiteout since 2019. This is the reward Jets fans get, at the end of the season, right? So, this has really galvanized the city, and it's just good for the soul of the city. Even though the Jets didn't win, they came close. But it's just great to see, tens of thousands of people downtown, having a great time and celebrating the sport, celebrating our city.
Well, for sure, as you're 100% right. And like I said, it's always a good representation. And I didn't get a chance to see the flyby, but I'm sure that was quite awesome. And the folks who did were, it seemed like there was a lot of excitement. And it was funny because it's one of those standard games. Like, you look at the crowd and you're like, meh, they're a little sad, a little mopey. And then of course I could only imagine what it was like to be, I know what it was like in here, and it was loud. Again, like I said, that's as loud as the building's been in a long time, because I think it was a release of a lot of excitement for a lot of Jets fans, but there's no question. Keep screwing up my mic here. Sorry about that.
There we go. I guess there's a ghost or something, Dave. What's going on there? It keeps cutting out.
It's not. It's because I keep hitting it. Unfortunately, I'm always using my hands to talk. Yeah. So I keep knocking out my wires here. My wires are
making all the stops.
My wires are.
You're seeing. I just wanted to mention you're seeing. Thanks for everybody who's joining us right now, because that was an epic double overtime game that obviously didn't go the way that Jets fans wanted it to go. But there was so much going on. I see a lot of people, saying that they were, pacing in their houses. Like at one point I had to tell Ruben to stop following me around the basement because I just wanted to watch the overtime. And he kept saying, I want to go upstairs and, play with his cars or whatever. So yeah, it was pretty tense, pretty nerve wracking, but I don't know, Dave, we've been covering this team for 12 years since they came over from Atlanta. And that game is right up there. The 2018 run, I don't know if, we'll ever be able to compare any, run to that, unless obviously the Jets go back to the Final Four, the Stanley Cup final. But the way that game ended with Lowry scoring with, I forget how many seconds were left.
20
seconds. Yeah. 20.1 seconds. It seemed like there was less time than that, but, and obviously Mark Scheifele getting the third goal to make it a 1-goal game after he couldn't keep the puck in on the power play, right? What a shot. But yeah, really unfortunate. And we talked about it on this morning show, right, Dave? We said, even if the Jets lose this game, series isn't over. It obviously makes it a lot harder because you have to win 3 of the next 4. And game 4 is a must win. I'm going to repeat, that is a must win. Most likely you're not coming back if you go down 3-1 back to Vegas. But man, if they bring that energy and they bring that type of desperation, I think they're going to do fine in game 4.
There's no question about it. I think you're right, Ezzy. I think that, the second period lapse notwithstanding, the Jets showed the urgency in that third, and I think they used the crowd energy. And I really do. I think the crowd was, look, a 4-1 game is not traditionally, the 3-goal lead is not, as John Cherry used to say, and as our friend Jesse Pollock, former IC intern, said, 2-goal lead is the hardest lead to hold. Well, the Golden Knights showed that the third 3-goal lead was the hardest one to hold. So, yeah.
And you wonder if Keegan Colasar, who's obviously from Brandon, good Manitoba boy, son of former Blue Bomber great Katie Williams. You wonder after he scored that goal if he regrets kind of taunting the Jets fans behind Connor Hellebuck, because he did the old jump on the glass, and he was doing some, I mean, I don't think he did anything that was unsportsmanlike. And look, if I was him, which obviously I'm not, but I would probably do the same thing. But yeah, going back to what we were talking about in the first 5 minutes of the show, after Kolesar made it 4-1 late in the second, you thought that it was over. But obviously the early goal by Nino Niederreiter, I know I'm getting ahead of myself here, Dave, into the Betway game recap. But like you said, that's what you want to do when you're down 3 goals. You want to score early in the second, and then all of a sudden it's not as daunting to come back, right? And then obviously, the power play, which we didn't think was going to be as big of a factor, obviously was, obviously a terrible time to take penalties for Pierre-Luc Dubois, but the Jets killed it off because they like we've said all year, they have had a top 5 penalty kill all year long. And, it's just unfortunate with the way the game ended, because I thought Dylan Samberg was excellent tonight. And we'll get into who's going to replace, Josh Morrissey. But I think, Dave, you have to climb that hill, when it gets there, because we have no idea. I mean, Morrissey could be back for game 4. It seems unlikely maybe at this point. But when you're talking about who might come in, I mean, we know who the options are, but obviously Dylan Samberg's staying in the top 6. I think you'd agree with that.
I would indeed. And although worth noting, as before the game got underway, there were some, Rick Bowness had said that Nikolai Ehlers was not medically cleared to play, but there were going to be some other guys who were banged up and there were some question marks, was what he said. And so Logan Stanley ended up taking the skates. So obviously one of the defensemen is nicked up and was potentially not going to be available, as was, who else took the skate? Was it Carson Kuhlman and Axel Jonsson-Fjällby? So there were a number of guys who potentially could have been out of the lineup.
The Black Aces, right?
The Black Aces, that's right. So those guys were there and they were available if needed. But of course, line rushes got underway and no replacements for any of the guys. But you do wonder if Logan Stanley was a potential for Josh Morrissey, because maybe he was dealing with something nagging.
And it's a good question. Like, again, we'll get into the Betway game recap here, but I don't know if it's as obvious as, Logan Stanley going in. I would probably, if I was throwing some money at Betway, for example, on who was going to come in, I'd probably say Logan Stanley, just because of the nature of these first 3 games of the series, Dave. It's been physical out there, and we know that Logan Stanley is a man mountain. But Kyle Capobianco in 12 or 13 games, however many games he played in the regular season, he's pretty good, right? And he can easily play on the third pair there with Nate Schmidt, right? So we'll see what happens, but I don't think it's as obvious as some people might think. But yeah, it's for sure going to be Stanley or Capobianco. You're not going to be calling up Ville Heinola at this point, Dave. I don't think anybody thinks that's going to happen. But again, we're jumping to conclusions here because we still don't know if Josh Morrissey's unavailable.
We do know.
Oh, okay, I guess we do know, because I think I know when Dave M gets something on his phone from True North, his eyes light up a little bit.
So no, the report coming from our media friends who are down below us at the Matt Frost Media Center are saying that Josh Morrissey is done for the series, according to Rick Bowness. Oh, no. So he's not saying he's done for the playoffs, but he's done for the series. So that is a massive loss for the Winnipeg Jets. Number 44 done for the
arguably
series.
The last guy that you want to get injured, right? Like, I think you would put Adam Lowry the way he's playing. But when you're talking about Josh Morrissey, he's the clear-cut number 1 defenseman. So that's horrible news.
Yeah, real tough news for the Winnipeg Jets organization to lose Josh Morrissey. There you go. There's a little breaking news on IC. Wish we weren't breaking that, unfortunately. But, there you go. There is.
Well, if you want me to talk for the next 5 minutes while you bang out a little content for IC.com, I can, Dave. But I'm sure we're going to get that on the website. And I'm sure that we've already put it out on social media. Thanks to our colleagues who are reporting on that. And you know what? Like, I really go back to what I was saying a few minutes ago. Like, the fact that the Jets were able to come back, tie that game up without Josh Morrissey, a guy who who plays big minutes, right? Like 22, 23, 24 minutes a game if it's a regular 60-minute game. So I thought it was really impressive the way the Jets stepped up. That Dylan DeMello was really good. Talked about Dylan Samberg. It's an egregious mistake, but to me that's luck, right? That goes off of a skate. I really don't think, like, clearly, it was a turnover. But if anybody watched, Dylan Sandberg in that game, he was battling. He had a really strong defensive game, so it's unfortunate. But when you consider that JMO are arguably the team's MVP after Connor Hellebuck, of course, considering he missed the majority of the game and you still came back and tied it, I think that's something to be really proud of, even if you didn't win.
Absolutely, and let's get into it here on the Illegal Curve post-game show. Thank you very much for joining us. You spent your Saturday morning with us. Now you're spending your Saturday late or early evening, Ezzy, with Ezra and I on the Illegal Curve post-game show brought to you by our friends at Betway. Whew. All right, Ez, let's just get right into it. First goal of the game. It came, hold on, I'm going to pull it up here. 2:52 into the first period on the first shot by the Vegas Golden Knights. Chandler Stevenson, how many times have we talked about him? 3 games into this series, but he gets the first
Pride
goal.
of Saskatoon, right?
Yeah, it was a little prairie connection with Mark Stone picking up the primary assist and Shea Theodore getting the secondary assist, and the Golden Knights trying to take that Winnipeg crowd out because, like I said, the crowd was electric, and suddenly the Vegas Golden Knights find themselves up 1-0 early in that first period.
Yeah, and obviously Mark Stone, Dave, makes a really nice spin around pass around center to Chandler Stevenson. And it's a 2-on-2 situation, and we talked about it. It was the third pairing of Dylan Sandberg and Nate Schmidt. I thought Nate Schmidt had an excellent game as well, and I realized the Golden Knights scored five goals, but the fact that all these guys had to share the minutes after Morrissey went down. And look, it's a 2-on-2. It's Nate Schmidt on the left side. Chandler Stevenson takes the pass from Mark Stone, and it's a nice shot. And you were there, Dave, so maybe you saw a different replay as we welcome in the one and only Drew Mindell. I'm not sure if Stevenson's shot, we're just going over the first goal here, Drew.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if Stevenson's shot touches Schmidt at all, but it looked like it might have, gone off of his leg or anything like that. But to me, what stands out on that is just the really nice play by Stone being pinned up against the half boards there, making the play by Chandler Stevenson. But I thought it was a 2-on-2 situation, and it's just a shot that beats Hellebuck. But I thought, the reason why I thought it might have gone off of Nate Schmidt is just because it looked like it might have changed direction on Hellebuck.
Okay, I'm going to jump in because I hear the bat mitzvah calling my name. So I'm going to leave Drew and Ezzy to do the post-game show. Sans me. I will be back if that's okay with Drew.
Yeah.
Is that okay with Drew?
It might be an abbreviated post-game show because, again, I want to make it to my 13th wedding anniversary in an ideal world. But
all right.
We're
dividing and
conquering.
Drew, I'm not sure if you have a voice right now.
It's a little bit hoarse. It was a very entertaining hockey game, as you're well aware, Mr. Ginsburg, and as everyone who watched that game. That's the kind of game where, first of all, I mean, that's the cliche, you get your money's worth. And it goes to show you, and obviously playoff games have more intensity, and the playoff games are going to be more exciting. But it just goes to show you how many of the regular season games that people pay full fare for are just absolute dogs compared to what we saw tonight. I mean, not every game is going to be like that, no question. But this was just this was a fun hockey game where I don't think that the Winnipeg Jets were losers tonight, just that the Golden Knights ended up as the winners. It was that entertaining of a contest between these two teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we were talking about it before you hopped on. Like, when you consider, no Josh Morrissey for the majority of the game.
He's gone. I don't know if you guys saw it. He's gone.
We did.
Series. Okay.
Yeah, we just saw that. I'm sure I'm sure it's all over Twitter now.
Yes.
And that's just devastating, right?
Yes.
And I mean, the Jets can still, battle back in this series, but I made the argument, or I made the case that, Josh Morrissey is probably the last guy that you want to get injured, right? Just in terms of his importance. I mean, Connor Hellebuck would probably be at the top of that list, but you're talking about Hellebuck, you're talking about Morrissey, obviously Kyle Connor would be up there, but just considering, the season that Morrissey's had, how good he's been early on in this series, the first 2 games, obviously, because he didn't play a lot today.
Right.
But I thought that the Jets rallied around and just,
they showed a lot of heart.
Exactly. They showed a lot of heart, a lot of soul. And even though they didn't win, I think, like you said, the fans, I think, left that game as happy as you can be, with a loss, right? Because that game when Keegan Kolesar scored late in the second period, it was like, okay, the Jets are down 2-1 in the series. Maybe they're going to win game 4.
Yeah.
And then they battled back, starting with Nino,
a lot of heart.
and then obviously Scheifele with a massive goal. Yeah. And then Adam Lowry, who as we all predicted, has 4 goals in the first 3 games of the series.
Look, Ezzy, it was a fun game. I mean, I know that everyone's upset with the result, and I understand that because from a fan's perspective, you always want your team to win. I get that, but this was just a fun hockey game. I mean, if there's been a better hockey game this year in the NHL, I'm not certain about it. Just, this was an entertaining, a fantastic hockey game up and back, and the Jets showed a ton of heart coming back.
Now, it makes that Jets Wild game at the end of the regular season look like a exhibition game.
Yeah, no, look, it does. I mean, the intensity was through the roof. I give the Jets a lot of credit. Unfortunately, of course, giving credit doesn't put you any closer to the second round, and you have to wonder when you combine this loss and the emotion that went into just the game in general with the Josh Morrissey injury and Nikolai Ehlers' status, is it going to be too much for the Jets to overcome? And that's obviously going to be the storyline entering Monday night's game. After this, it's like the adrenaline is going to take a long time for this game to wear off. And then now you have to find a way to dig even deeper if you're the Winnipeg Jets. I mean, and that's going to be a very difficult task, given the realities of the situation, given the realities that Vegas right now is at full strength and the Jets are not, and they're playing without their best defenseman. They're playing without their best 5-on-5 forward, which really puts your depth to the test.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure you mentioned you have a dinner to get to, so let's get into the second Vegas goal here quickly. Yeah. But all I was going to say is, we'll be talking about, leading up until game 4, we'll be talking about, is it going to be Logan Stanley or is it going to be Kyle Capobianco? I don't think, there's a big difference between the two, to be honest with you. Like, all due respect, Stanley's obviously bigger and more physical. Capobianco's more of a depth defenseman. Obviously, I guess Stanley is as well. Right. But I mean, if there's any time for Nikolai Ehlers to come back in this series, it would be game 4.
No question about it. If the doctors are able to clear him, Vegas makes it 2-0 at the 6:18 mark. It's their power play that does the damage. Jack Eichel, his second of the series. Chandler Stevenson and Alex Pietrangelo get the assists. And it's a well-designed power play here. They move the puck well, Ezzy. And, it's hard to believe that this Vegas Golden Knights power play, we touched on it with Jesse Granger earlier today. It's hard to believe that their power play is so bad given the talent they have here. It looked pretty crisp on this one, and Eichel makes no mistake and is able to get the puck on the one-timer past Connor Hellebuck, and Vegas leads 2-0 6 minutes and 18 seconds into the first period.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about Pierre-Luc Dubois' penalty, at the end of the third period and in the second overtime, obviously. But Dubois is the one that was in the penalty box for this goal, right? Yeah. So, not a great night for Pierre-Luc Dubois taking penalties. And you like the fact that Dubois was playing a physical game, but he obviously lost his cool a little bit. And, on this particular goal, we talked to Jesse Granger, about, how the Vegas Golden Knights, you could say don't have a superstar. I would say Jack Eichel is the closest thing. If he's not a superstar, he's very close to being a superstar because he's obviously had Connor Hellebuck's number. What is that? His 4th or 5th goal when you include the regular season against Connor Hellebuck. And he's in that spot, right? He's to the right of Connor Hellebuck. They talked about it on the broadcast. Alex Pietrangelo is a right shot. It ends up hitting the point shot through the middle, ends up going to William Karlsson. And then he gets it to Jack Eichel, who obviously makes no mistake, and Hellebuck's going the other way, right? And that's why Eichel is so dangerous when he's to the right of Hellebuck on the left side, because he's a right shot. And, if Hellebuck's going the other way, Eichel has just as good a shot as Kyle Connor. It's obviously different, but he is that same level of weapon on the power play. He can, if you put it in his sweet spot and he gets all of it, there's a good chance that it's going in the net.
I agree with that. He's not going to make a mistake, and he was dynamite tonight for the Vegas Golden Knights. After the bad game 1 that he played, he's been great over the last 2 games, and he's really showing up in his first chance in the Stanley Cup playoffs. 2-0 at this point for Vegas. They make it 2-1. It's Kyle Connor. He gets his second of the season, a huge goal for the Winnipeg Jets to cut the lead in half. This at the 9:07 mark of the first period. Assist to Dylan DeMello and Brendan Dillon. It's a really nice redirect redirection. This is all it is. It's a nice play by DeMello getting the puck onto Connor's stick, and Connor with a very nifty redirection past Laurent Brossoit to cut the Golden Knights lead in half and give the Jets, let the Jets feel good about themselves, at this point of the first period after a very slow start for the hometown team.
Yeah, 100%, right? The Jets only had, what did they end up with? I think it's hard to remember the first period because it was 3.5 hours ago, but I think they only had, what was it, 6 shots or 7 shots in the first period?
In the first period, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah. I guess my memory isn't half bad, but you're absolutely right. It's Brendan Dillon to Dylan DeMello. And I believe it was Jack Eichel in the slot covering Kyle Connor, and Jack Eichel was right there. I've got the replay up here. Yeah, it was Jack Eichel who decided to. Oh no, it wasn't Jack Eichel.
It wasn't Eichel.
Nick Waugh. It was Nick Waugh, number 10, exactly. Right? So he was there with Connor, and Connor again. That is the definition for me of just great hand-eye coordination.
Yeah.
So DeMello, and we've talked about Dylan DeMello. He's not like when you talk about offensive defensemen on the Jets, you immediately think of Morrissey and Pionk, but DeMello has really added that to his game. He's really good at just getting pucks kind of through the seams, as they say. And yeah, like you said, Drew, just great tip and a huge goal at the time.
Yeah.
Because it swung the momentum back. It was 2-0. Wasn't looking good. You cut the lead to 1. Now you've got something to build on for the rest of the period.
Yeah, exactly. And so with the Jets, and the rest of the period, I mean, the Jets, like you said, they only had 6 shots on goal. Look, the Jets only had 9 shots on goal through 35 minutes of this game. So I mean, you know that the Jets certainly didn't play their best until the stakes really increased in that third period. But to make the ultimate, at the end of the day, to make the shot totals much more respectable. But the Jets were really getting stymied by Vegas throughout a lot of this game, and then they continued in the second period. Eichel again, also on the power play. Hell of a time for the Golden Knights power play to find its rhythm at the 10:46 mark of the second period. It's Eichel, his third of the season, his third of the playoff season, the second of the game, assist to Pietrangelo and Riley Smith on the power play and it's a 3-1 Golden Knights lead after the Jets really started the second period with a lot of momentum and a lot of pushback and came very close to tying the game at 2. It ends up being 3-1 for Vegas.
Yeah, and you mentioned Eichel, how good Eichel was tonight, and again, like it's Pietrangelo who, boy, does he look like the same guy who won a Stanley Cup in 2019 with the Blues. Obviously, he's a little bit older, but he's just that steady influence there. Manning the quarterbacking the power play, and again, right shot to Eichel, right shot, and Hellebuyck is moving the other way. Hellebuyck gets a piece of this one because I did watch the replay closely after watching the goal live. I got confused about I almost was in my mind was thinking the second goal was that goal. When we were talking about Eichel's first goal in the first period. But I mean, again, one of the best one-timers in the league. I'm not saying he's got the best one-timer, but I would probably say it's at the very least top 10.
Yeah.
And the Golden Knights, I mean, this was earlier in the power play. And yeah, just, Pietrangelo knows you put it in the wheelhouse. He's right at the face-off circle, and Hellebuyck comes over. And even though he gets a piece of it, I mean, it's just one of the hardest one-timers in the league to stop, I would say.
Yeah, it's a very difficult shot for any goalie, and Jack Eichel's a superstar player. So, I mean, there's when he's teed
You're
up
calling
like
him a superstar.
He is a superstar.
That's the thing, and I didn't want to, get into a thing with Jesse Granger because obviously he's a good friend of ours and a great journalist. But when he was saying that the Golden Knights don't have a superstar, I was like, okay, well, I would consider Eichel a superstar. He might.
Well, the problem is he's never been healthy enough.
Exactly.
To
he doesn't
really
have a 100-point season, or he doesn't have a Hart Trophy. But I mean, if you look at his career, he's always like 60 points in 60 games, or 65 points in 60 games.
Give him a full season and see how many points he racks up.
85, 90 points, easy.
Easy.
Yeah.
That's on the low end, I would suspect. I mean, I think this is a guy who's only going to get who would only get stronger the more games he were to play in the regular season. 3-1 at this point, halfway mark of the second period. 4-1, and I said to my wife at this point as we were at the game, I said, "This is going to be tough to come back by." Keegan Colasar, the local,
and that's
boy.
When Laura said, no, Mark Scheifele is going to score, and then Adam Lowry is going to tie it up with 20 seconds left, and then Pierre-Luc Dubois is going to take a penalty with 10 seconds left.
That's when Laura said, no, the game's going to go to double overtime. No problem. She guaranteed it at that point in time. but it's Keegan Colasar, his first of the year, first of the playoffs. Assist to Eichel again. Boy, was he dangerous. And Michael Amadio. And it's 4-1 for the Golden Knights late in the second period at the 17:45 mark.
And, I'm going back to the Saturday morning show here again, but a couple of weeks ago when we were previewing the series, we talked about the Vegas Golden Knights forward depth that, even though you would probably say Connor Dubois-Scheifele is the most talented line for both two teams, we talked about the depth here. And, when you get a goal from a fourth liner, Brandon Manitoba's Keegan Colasar, I mean, that just shows you the type of depth that they have, right? Like you have, players like, again, I don't know if it's a third line, but, Chandler Stevenson and Mark Stone, your third line, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, look, it's a nice backhander goal by Keegan Colasar. And I mentioned this, I'm not sure if you had hopped on yet. I mentioned this to Dave. It's almost like, Colasar, he shouldn't have kind of mocked the Jets crowd behind Connor Hellebuck. He jumped on the glass and, gave a look to a few fans back there, but obviously he's entitled to celebrate. But yeah, it's a rebound. Eichel puts it on net. And I mean, you're going to, like, some people might say you can't give up that rebound to Hellebuck. Yeah. It's hard when a shot like that is, I mean, Eichel's doing that on purpose. 100% Eichel did that on purpose.
It's a shot.
He's not shooting to score there. He's hoping to get that rebound. Obviously, it was a fortuitous rebound. Yeah. And as you mentioned, I mean, Colasar scores it, and they're up by 3 goals. Just watching the replay, yeah, he's chirping the Jets fans behind him there. Little does he know at that point that the Jets are going to come back and score there, but. Yeah, I mean, look, Vegas was all over the Jets at that point. It looked like the game was over. We know what happened in the third period, but yeah, on that particular goal, to me, it just speaks to how much talent there is on this team. This team was not a 111-point team by accident. No. This was not a fluke. I mean, they lost. They missed. People forget they missed the playoffs last year. Yeah. Nobody was predicting that. Everybody was predicting them to win the division. Yeah. We all know what happened last year with all the injuries and everything like that. So. Yeah, that was just a nice rebound. Colasar was just Johnny on the spot there.
He was 4-1 at this point, 4-1 entering the third period. Do the Jets have a comeback in them? Do they have the fight in them? Well, we know that they did definitely have that fight dog mentality in the third period, and it starts early because that's when you need it to start. Nino Niederreiter getting his first of the series, assist to Pierre-Luc Dubois and Neil Pionk. This is at the 2:04 mark, Ezzy, and the Jets have some life early in that third period by getting this goal from Niederreiter, the trade deadline acquisition.
Yeah, and I thought Niederreiter was really good. I thought that line was really good. I realized there was they made a switch there, and Scheifele and Dubois switched lines there. But I mean, Niederreiter, it seems like every time he's on the ice, or every second time he's on the ice, he's driving the net, he's creating chaos.
Good things happen. He's a professional.
Who was the hit on earlier in the game? He nailed somebody. Yeah. I mean, there were so many hits. I mean, obviously,
I was a couple drinks in, so I'm not sure that I'm able to identify the players at that point.
Yeah, no, fair enough, Drew. I would have no shortage of things to enjoy at that game either. Yeah. But yeah, just going back to that goal, it's just a really nice shot by Niederreiter. Starts the play, a little give and go with Dubois, but just a beautiful shot, glove side that I think Laurent Brossoit didn't really have a chance on.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Our buddy Mike McIntyre reporting that he's heard that Josh Morrissey's series-ending injury is related to his knee, maybe an MCL, something to do with his MCL, maybe a sprain or something along those lines. That's not what Mike McIntyre just
not good when they're saying Twitter in Game 3 that he's definitely out because
done for the season.
Yeah, I was going to say at the very least, it seems like he wouldn't be coming back till late in the playoffs. But if it's MCL, ACL, and I'm not a doctor, but I did tear my MCL, ACL, as you know, Drew, in the very competitive Jewish floor hockey world. So I haven't recovered. I still haven't recovered. I still haven't done the physio, right? You know that.
I assume Josh will do the physio. I'm not sure that you're ever going to get around to it.
Not worried about JMO. When it comes to me, that my career was done there.
4-2 for the Golden Knights. Scheifele, 14:08 mark on the power play. Great time for the Jets power play to click in this game. It's his first assist to Pionk and Connor, and this is just a goal scorer's shot. So this is just a beautiful shot that he's able to beat Laurent Brossoit with it, and it's all of a sudden a 4-3 game with under 6 minutes to play, Ezzy.
Yeah, and I mean, I'd love for you to chime in after I talk about the goal here because you were in the building. I can only imagine, I was telling Dave and the chat, I took the kids in the minivan an hour and a half before puck drop, and I just wanted them to see, you know, all the white Jets jerseys and to see the street party and everything like that.
Yeah.
So that was incredible, but I wasn't in the building, but definitely, you know, watching it here with the kids and my dad. I mean, when Scheifele scores that goal, because you know, right before that, he lost control of the puck, right? Like, and that was on the same power play. So you're thinking, oh, come on, Scheif, like, you got to keep that puck in. And what does he do? He keeps himself composed. We talked about it. Scheifele was one of the players we wanted to have a breakout game. Obviously, that didn't necessarily happen, but it was definitely a huge goal at the moment, because, I mean, that was everything. With, you know, whatever it was, 6 minutes left, you got the feeling that, you know, there was a good chance the Jets were going to tie it up.
You know, he scored, the place was buzzing, the place was bumping. It was a lot of fun in that building, I can assure you. And then when Adam Lowry tied it up with 22 seconds to go, his fourth of the series, assist to Nemesnikov and Pionk, and it's exactly how you score a tying goal when the goalie is pulled. You put the puck on net and you let chaos ensue, and Adam Lowry has just been such a beast in this series. He just would not be denied. He said, I'm bigger, I'm stronger, I'm going to find a way to get that puck on my stick, and he did so, and it was a tie game, and I thought my ears were going to pop, because he was just absolutely incredible to tie that game at 4, because I did not see that coming, and the Jets had 22 seconds before it was going into overtime, and it got a little hairy in those last 22 seconds, Ezzy.
Yeah, and you know what? Over the years, we've obviously seen a lot of amazing individual performances in the playoffs, right? You think of, you know, in recent memory, you think of, you know, maybe Braden Point on the Tampa Bay Lightning, or you think of Ryan O'Reilly for St. Louis. Like, the guy that, you know, Lowry's reminding me of is that 2004 run for Calgary, Jarome Iginla, right? Like, Jarome Iginla he was laying body checks, he was fighting, he was scoring big goals, and obviously Lowry's not as prolific a goal scorer as Iginla. His dad, if you see the connection, his dad happened to be on that 2004 Calgary team, but honestly, he's doing everything. Lowry is doing everything. He's killing penalties. He's out there on the power play. He's chucking the knuckles with Keegan Colasar, a couple of big boys. You know, he's just doing everything. But you're absolutely right. And the thing I wanted to mention, Drew, you know, in addition to the chaos that ensued, or happened right before that goal, Blake Wheeler, just a great individual effort. He beats William Karlsson. He keeps the puck in, gets it back to Kyle Connor. And then I think it was Connor to Lowry behind the net. And then it comes back to it was Neil Pionk who took the shot.
Neil Pionk, Nemesnikov deflected off of him a little bit, and then it ended up on Lowry's stick.
Yeah, so just, you know, great individual effort by Blake Wheeler to beat out William Karlsson, who had a chance to clear the puck there, and then also just, you know, some good work down low by Connor and Lowry behind the net to get it back to Neil Pionk at the point, and Adam Lowry just goes right in front of Laurent Brossoit, whacks it a couple times, and he just won't be denied. It was Alec Martinez, who's the defenseman that, I mean, look, Lowry is a big, big man. Not many defensemen. I mean, even a guy like Logan Stanley, who's 6'7", would have trouble with Lowry, because he's 6'5", but he's a solid on his skates. 6'5",
230 pounds of muscle. I mean,
he's a monster.
This is a monster. If you see that coming down the street, you're moving aside and saying, "Thank you, sir. May I help? May I help with another? May I assist you with anything?"
Lowry's a Mack truck.
Exactly right. Runaway Mack truck in some regards. And of course, we know what overtime happened. The Jets had so many opportunities in that overtime period. It was an entertaining overtime period. I hate the fact that Vegas got that bonus timeout on the icing. So they iced the puck on the just after the 10-minute mark of the overtime period, and the rule being that the first whistle, and this needs to be changed, the first whistle after the 10-minute mark of overtime results in that dry scrape a little bit, where they come out and they shovel the ice, and Vegas, who are gassed and are on their heels, they get a bonus extra timeout as a result of it. That needs to be changed to be the rule that exists for TV timeouts during the first 60 minutes of the game.
Well, and that's what we should mention. For those who don't know, a lot of people will know this who've watched a lot of hockey. There's no TV commercials in overtime.
Right.
You know, just for some people who might be listening to the podcast or might not know that or were wondering, that's always been the case. Or at the very least, Drew, it's been the case for a long time that there aren't TV timeouts during overtime. So that absolutely, like, I remember Alex Petrangelo for sure was the defenseman that was on the ice. If it might have been Martinez, because that's the pair, right? That's the top pair for Vegas. So it's Martinez and Petrangelo.
Yeah.
And that absolutely, I think Chandler Stevenson was out there. So it would have been the Stevenson Stone Brett Howden line.
They have
so you're absolutely right.
Tank. And
exactly. The Jets probably would have scored. Like I was almost thinking, like, how are they going to even do anything here? They look like they can barely even move. And you're absolutely right. The dry scrape just gave them enough oxygen to basically, complete the next shift.
Grace is right here. I put this comment up on the screen. They rewarded Vegas for icing the puck. They absolutely did. That's just a rule that needs to be changed by the NHL. They need to adopt the same rule that they have during the first 60 minutes of the game, where, once if you ice the puck, they do not go to a TV timeout, even if they're supposed to go to the TV timeout. They don't do it on an icing, and they need to do the exact same thing come for the playoffs, because that gave Vegas a break. Obviously, the first overtime ended, and then Michael Amadio gets his first of the series at the 3:40 mark of double overtime. Ivan Barbashev gets the assist. It's a bad bounce off. Dylan Samberg is trying to make the right play. Ivan Barbashev makes a better play in sort of forcing a bit of the turnover, but it's just as well a lucky bounce onto the stick of Amadio, and Amadio makes no mistake turning and firing and beating Blake Wheeler, ending a tremendous hockey game, bringing heartbreak to everyone in Winnipeg and those who are cheering for the Jets. 5-4 is the final, giving Vegas a 2-1 lead in this best of 7 series, with Game 4 coming up on Monday night.
Yeah, and why it's so unfortunate, and you know exactly why, Drew. You were in the building.
Yeah.
The reason why that's so unfortunate is because the Jets killed not only 1 but 2 penalties in overtime.
Yeah.
And that rarely happens, right? Like you just don't. Referees will only call penalties that they basically have to call, right? And you're right. I mean, it's just a horrible bounce. And I mentioned this to Dave, I think before you jumped on, about 10 minutes into the show or whatever.
Yeah.
I thought Samberg was excellent, playing a little bit more than he normally would. He was around 22 minutes. And it's just unfortunate because, they had just killed off the penalty, rather easily, actually. And look at Michael Amadio, we've talked about it. He scored some goals, before against the Jets. And, he's just right in the slot. It comes right to him. And you're right. I mean, Ivan Barbashev, he's a guy that they acquired from the Blues for a reason, right?
Yeah.
He's a good depth forward.
And he's a playoff performer.
He's a playoff performer. He has a Stanley Cup ring as well. We were talking about Petrangelo earlier, but look at, that's luck, because not only does Barbashev, get his stick on it and it's a nice turnover, it just, as I mentioned, it goes right, like Michael Amadio. It's like, when you're standing and you played a lot of baseball, Drew, like it's like when you're standing in the outfield and the guy just happens to hit it
right at you. You just have to put up your glove just like this.
Right? Like you don't even have to move. And that was Michael Amadio in the slot there. So, Dylan Samberg is one of my favorite players on the Jets. I feel awful for him. Know that, all the Jets players, went to him after the game, or right after that, and said,
the ice. You saw them,
don't worry about it. Yeah, look, he's having a great rookie season. You don't like to see that to anybody on any team, not just the Jets, but yeah, man, you got to feel for Samberg there. A crappy way to lose the game, not the way Jets fans wanted it to end. Jets fans wanted to leave there with a win, or obviously watch a win. So I'm sorry. No matter what anybody tells me, that was a complete fluke. Just a terrible bounce there.
It was a terrible bounce, but it's a good play by the Golden Knights to be
I'm not taking anything away from Barbashev. He creates the turnover.
Right.
All I'm saying it just, because Amadio was standing right there and nobody was around him. Like there was no Jet within 6 to 10 feet of Amadio, and it's it's a nice shot, beats Hellebuck. And that's the game, unfortunately.
That is the game. 5-4, Golden Knights defeat the Winnipeg Jets, take a 2-1 series lead. Game 4 coming up on Monday. We'll go to break. When we come back, a quick word for what Rick Bowness said post-game. Then we'll wrap this up, as both Ezzy and I have places to be on this Saturday night.
Well, you have a place to be. I have to put my kids to bed. My dad's upstairs. He wants to go to bed because it's 10 to 8, and it's probably pretty close to his bedtime. So you have places to be. You're Mr. Anniversary, and I'm just... Dad/mom.
Yeah, there you go. We'll be back. It's the Illegal Curve post game show.
Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock, Jon Stewart, Dennis Miller, Brad Garrett, the biggest acts and all the up-and-comers. They've all made their mark at Rumors Comedy Club, North America's longest-running independent comedy club. Rumors has kept Winnipeg laughing for over 25 years. When was the last time you laughed out loud? Make it a great night out with friends or book your office or birthday party, even a fundraising event at Rumors. Get all the details and dates on upcoming shows at rumorscomedyclub.com.
He winds up. Oh, looks like Ezzy took that one right in the choppers.
A blistering fast puck hurts like HE double hockey sticks. That's why I let the pros at Linden Market Dental Center turn my yow into
wow.
Get your brilliant smile back with state-of-the-art restorative and cosmetic dentistry from real pros.
And remember, always wear a mouth guard.
Now that's solid on ice advice. Learn more at lindenmarketdentalcenter.com. Creating smiles for life.
Whoa, Ezzy, everything okay? You look stressed.
Of course I'm stressed. We're moving, the house is upside down, the kids failed miserably at packing the fine china, and my life is in chaos. Chaos!
Yes, that does sound like a problem.
What am I going to do?
Ezzy, relax. Rolly's Transfer Moving and Storage is the answer. With 60 years of experience in moving Manitobans and a track record of exemplary customer service, one call to Rolly's and your stress is gone. No job is too big or too small. Just visit Rollies.com and they will take it from there.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you, Rollies Transfer Moving and Storage, online at Rollies.com.
Dave, my man, why are you in the car already? It's hours until game time.
Drew, it's because I'm stressed out right now, driving around downtown Winnipeg, looking for a parking spot, and I'm not finding one. I've lost Ginsburg. I don't even know where that guy is right now.
Dave, haven't I taught you anything? Do what I do. Pre-book your entire month's worth of game day parking with the Grid Park app. It's super easy to use and saves me both time and stress.
Well, Drew, I'm not independently wealthy like you are. So I'm sorry that I don't have millions of dollars to pre-book my parking month in advance. What's that going to cost you? $25?
How about $5?
Come on, $5? No way.
$5. I'm not telling you a lie. And our listeners can get a free park with the new special promo code Illegal Curve. Guess what? There's more.
Come on, there's more, Drew. You're lying to me. What more could there be?
Grid Park now has underground parking, so my car can stay warm during the game.
So wait a second. All the driving around I do, looking for parking, minus 40. You're telling me I could be toasty warm in a car after the hockey game?
That's exactly what I'm telling you. Underground parking. Just download the Grid Park app. That's GRYD Park and use the code Illegal Curve. All one word. You'll park for free your first time.
Hi, it's Drew from Illegal Curve here. Selling your home can be stressful, but it wasn't for me. Thanks to my friends at Zappia Group Realty, they made the process so easy. My home sold within 48 hours and with multiple offers. Zappia Group Realty took care of everything with their exquisite customer service and attention to detail. If you want to sell your home for more in less time, get started by talking to Frank and Mauro Zappia of Zappia Group Realty. Online at zappiagroup.com.
For 3 generations and over 80 years, Tough Duck has been making apparel that works and plays as hard as the people who wear it. From jackets to work boots and everything in between, Tough Duck's clothing can handle the harshest environments, even the Illegal Curve hockey show. Work to live, live to play. Visit toughduck.com. Welcome back to the Illegal Curve post-game show. Drew Mandel, Ezra Ginsburg talking about the Jets' 5-4 defeat at the hands of the Vegas Golden Knights. They trail in the series 2-1 now with a key Game 4 coming up on Monday. In case you're just joining us, the news not good regarding Josh Morrissey out for the remainder of the season. Our friend Mike McIntyre, the Winnipeg Free Press, reporting it may have something to do with an MCL, which is, of course, a knee-related injury. So huge blow to the Jets' back end. Morrissey playing 2 shifts in the entirety of tonight's game, and they're going to be without the Jets' best defenseman for the remainder of the series. Wanted to make mention Adam Lowry's tying goal with about 21 seconds to go in the game. That's our Seagram's shot of the game. Seagram's 83, Manitoba's favorite Canadian whiskey. I know some of you might be pouring yourselves a whiskey after the result tonight. If you're going to be drinking, please drink responsibly and drink using our friends at Seagram's, available at at your local liquor mart and wherever fine liquor products are sold.
The Fireball, my Fireball, I should say, bottle is at Dave M's house.
Yeah.
And you're not taking a shot. So just do the shot when you and Laura go out for your anniversary dinner.
Thank you. We'll take care of that. I appreciate the permission to do that, Mr. Ginsburg. I want to say thank you to Betway. The game recap tonight has been brought to you by Betway. It's simple, fun, and safe to bet with Betway. So head on over to Betway, and guess what you need to do? You need to bet your way. You must be 19 years or older to play. Please play responsibly. Ezzy, Tough Duck, hardest hitting comment. Who's getting it tonight?
Yeah, we're going to do it real quick here because as you mentioned earlier, you've got your anniversary dinner to go to. We're going to give it to Adrian. I hope I pronounced this right. Hawaleshka. Yeah, lots of negativity here. They fought back, hit the post in overtime. Lots of fight left in this series. Losing Josh is a big one. Who's in for him? I bet it's not Stanley. And yeah, I didn't, obviously, it was more so the beginning, the first part of that, because obviously it's going to be Logan Stanley or Kyle Capobianco. I really have no idea. That's something that we'll have to debate at another time.
I think it's going to be Capobianco, personally.
Yeah, it's possible, Drew. Like I really think
the skill set that needs to be replaced. Capobianco has shown that he's more of he's got some more offensive flair to his game, I think, and so that would be why I wouldn't be shocked if it's Kyle Capobianco. I see people in the chat saying Ville Heinola, and I understand the logic behind it. You're not going to call up a guy from the AHL to fill in,
and he hasn't been playing, right? Because the Moose have a 2-week break before their playoff series starts against Milwaukee. So yeah, it's going to be Stanley or Capobianco, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's Capobianco, Drew. I think it's kind of 50-50. Obviously, if Logan Stanley goes in, everyone's going to be talking about it's because of the size. You can't talk about Stanley, it seems, without mentioning he's 6'7", as if we don't already know that. But yeah, there's a good chance it'll be Capobianco. But Adrian, send me an email, ezra@illegalcurve.com with your mailing info. And then Tough Duck will ship out a trucker hat, because we're on to trucker hats now that it's the playoffs. We've switched the giveaway. It was Tukes during the year, but we're doing trucker hats now in the playoffs. So congrats to Adrian for the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment.
Okay, yes, agreed. I'm seeing that we need to send best wishes to Bailey. Looks like she may have been feeling a little under the weather at the whiteout. I understand that.
I don't know if you saw that on social media. I did tweet at her because she put it on social media. Okay. She said that she fainted here. Let me read it. Was immediately put on a stretcher and rushed to the EMT and looked at EMTs. I'm okay now. And then I said, hope you're doing better. And she said, I'm feeling much better. So Bailey is okay. But I guess that was, I'm not making a joke here, but it was a very tense environment. There was a lot going on, a lot of cheering, a lot of momentum swings and everything like that. But obviously, the most important thing is that Bailey's doing okay.
Absolutely. Bailey, we're sending you our best thoughts and wishes, of course. You can't do the program without the intern, so we need the intern to be fully healthy, without a doubt. Ezzy, final word today on the post-game show goes to Rick Bowness, the Winnipeg Jets head coach. That was a hell of a hockey game. The crowd was fantastic. The guys laid it all out there on the line tonight. They played their hearts out. I'm very proud of the way we played. We're down early. We get that. We fought back. We're down 3 going into third, and we keep fighting. There is no quit in this group. So that is what the Jets head coach Rick Bowness had to say after the game today, courtesy of our friend Murat Atesh tweeting that out on his Twitter feed. Of Murat, of course, you should read his work on theathletic.com. One last comment from Rick Bowness about Dylan Samberg. He says he has every confidence in defenseman Dylan Samberg. I talked to him right after the game. I said, Dylan, we are where we are because of you. You helped us get here. You helped us get to double overtime. And that's true. Dylan Samberg has been a tremendous defenseman for the Winnipeg Jets. And you hope that this is just one of those things that happens in the, 2 teams, 1 player made a better play than your player did. You can't linger on it. You can't let it affect you. You got to flush it and get back in for Monday's game 4 between the Jets and the Golden Knights.
Well, and he's going to move up the lineup, obviously, because he's a left shot.
Right.
So I think it would be logical to assume that Brendan Dillon is now your, top pairing left side defenseman. But it's going to be a committee. It's going to be a committee who's going to have to do the work here. There's no question about it. Not an easy situation. Maybe they'll go 11-7 for game 4.
Well, not going to be an easy situation for the Winnipeg
Joking,
Jets,
obviously.
of course, without Josh Morrissey now moving forward, and the status of Nikolai Ehlers still up in the air. Big thank you to all the sponsors of the post-game show, the Saturday show, and the website. They make this a possibility. Our friends at Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, Linden Market Dental Center, Zappia Group Realty, Betway, they're the title sponsor of the post-game show, Tough Duck, Boston Pizza, Seagram's, Rolly's Transfer, Grid Park. I used Grid Park to park going to the game. It was really easy. Use Grid Park if you're heading downtown at any point in time, or any of their lots throughout the city of Winnipeg. And of course, our friends at the Keg. If anyone has a lozenge, I think I could use it. My voice is a little hoarse after 2 shows on this Saturday. It's a 2-show Saturday.
Just Google, pardon me, not Google. Just gargle some salt water, Drew, before you guys go out.
I'll get right on that. Support the fine businesses I mentioned before because of their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. Post-game show on Monday, probably right around, let's say 11:15, 11:30. Time will tell. Depends.
So what you're saying, it's going to be another early night for us, right?
Another early night. Go to bed now. Maybe you'll wake up in time. Big thanks to everyone who joined us on the Saturday show and who joined us for the post-game show. We always appreciate your support. If you haven't done so, smash the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the podcast, leave us your feedback here, there, and everywhere. We always want to know what you think about our fine programming. Dave Minuk was here before. He's off to a bat mitzvah. Ezra Ginsburg here. He's abandoned his children.
Happy anniversary to Drew and Laura. You guys are I think the example that we all follow for how to be wedded bliss, how to be happy. And I wish you guys, I hope you guys have a great anniversary dinner, and may you be blessed with wisdom.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ginsburg. I appreciate your blessings as well. That's an inside joke. That's between Ezzy and I, and nobody else needs to know what that means. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Have a great Saturday night. Do whatever you're doing. Do it safe. Do it healthy. We'll see you back here on Monday night. This has been the Illegal Curve post-game show.